name is Jen Hazers, and I work obviously here in the Newport Aquarium, and I am an aquatics biologist. So I went to school at Coastal Carolina University in South Carolina, and I have a degree in marine science. I was hired on here, I guess, about 7 years ago, and I have the shore gallery exhibits at the aquarium, so I have a responsibility with our sea turtles. A shell is a huge part of a protection for turtles. So when they're very small, their shells are sort of soft, and it's important that they grow really fast, really quick. Obviously, Tilly's still swimming around me. She came to me when I brought her here to the aquarium back in last October. She could fit in the palm of my hand. And because they're so vulnerable to so many different things that can eat them, the shell is kind of soft when they're young, when they first hatch. It's important that it grows fast. So it does become a source of protection for them later on after they've matured. They have flippers for swimming, and on their flippers they have claws on each one, so they can use that to tear things open. I don't really think they use that too much as a defense mechanism. Their greatest defense would be just to swim away or to get away. Obviously they're not like land tortoises. They can't pull their heads and their flippers in, so it's really one of the reasons why they are an endangered species. Every species of sea turtle is considered endangered. So, but their claws are good. Their beaks are very, very strong, and that is the majority of how they would test something or eat. Obviously, their beaks that do a good job of tearing things apart. They have to breathe air, so that's something that they need to be able to get up. That's why there's animals that, if they get trapped in nets, they have to breathe. So that's a threat to them. One of the things that is interesting about the turtles is that their chest cavity, that whole area underneath their bodies, is still a little bit soft. And one consideration that we have to make when we're traveling with the turtles out of the water is that they cannot, and when they get big like Denver, is that they have to be able to lift themselves up to breathe. They can't do that with their flippers. So when I transport Tilly, she'll be in a container, but she'll have a very thick, soft pad underneath her, so that she's not sitting on a hard surface and having to lift her own weight up to breathe every breath. So that's a consideration. We did have to take Denver off the exhibit a year and a half ago, and when we did, we actually just got a big inner tube tire from the local tire company and set Denver on that so that his chest could move inside the tube. They came from the Emerald Isle, but that's the same. It's a southern portion of the Outer Banks. When people have their beach lights on at night, if the nests are hatching, then they definitely ask people to turn their lights off at night so that the hatchlings can find their way to the ocean. If they don't find their way to the ocean immediately, their chances of survival are just almost nil. Because seagulls can eat them, cats and dogs might eat them, or any other kind of animal. The getting in the water is important for them. And then I mentioned if they get caught in fishing nets, then they will drown. See people throw trash out if they get lines wrapped around them, or in any way that it can strangle them because they have to breathe air. That's a big impact for them. I can tell you that we have Denver, obviously he's in our big shark tank. We could never put Tilly in there, but Denver being large enough now and not considered a food item for the sharks, will actually tend to bite on them more than they bite on him. So they're pretty good at following something around. They're kind of slow, but they can speed up a little bit. And I think that in general, the awareness of fishing nets and lines and being more careful, people just being more conscientious about litter, things like that, has definitely helped our sea turtles' survival. When the hatchlings head towards the ocean, is they need to get out on the eastern coast of the United States, they need to get out into the Gulf Stream. When they get out into the Gulf Stream, right where the Gulf Stream, hits the coastal waters, there is what we call a sargassum line. It's some seaweed, so they are able to sort of hide in the seaweed as well as eat on it. That's a really important part of their survival, is being able to get out to the Gulf Stream. So when we do turtle releases and when we bring them back out into the ocean, we actually take them, our hatchlings, or our yearlings and any hatchlings that they're going to re-release, and we release them out there in the sargassum lines. They are omnivores. turtles, they'll eat seaweed. They like sargassum. That's a big one for what we're looking for when we release them. They will eat seagrass from the ocean floor. And they will eat any variety of fish or, I mean, there's almost nothing that they wouldn't eat. If they can take it down, if they can swallow it, they'll eat it. Crustaceans are a big food item for them. That's a little bit easier for them to hunt and get a hold of. So yeah, they'll pretty much eat anything. It would be uncommon for them to follow behind sharks if the sharks are eating and they would pick up some scraps. But for the most part, they just find their own food. Loggerheads, basically, they're named because of their fat heads. They have a much larger head than any of the other species of turtles. But I guess the adaptation for turtles as opposed to tortoises is that they have flippers instead of, kind of like more of a claws in their legs. And they do have a claw on their flippers they can tear food with. When you look at them, they're all very, very similar in their shapes. They're angled, kind of fatter in the front, tailored to the end, and their front fin flippers are much longer, slimmer. Back ones are usually a little bit more stout. The females do have to go up on the beach and lay their eggs, so they're fertilized by males. They go up to the beach, lay their eggs, they dig a nest and lay them. There's approximately like 100 eggs per nest, and the females leave the nest, so they don't tend to them. We do know that turtles will come back and nest on the same beaches that they were hatched from, but as far as nurturing and caring, the turtles are kind of on their own. One of the reasons why, they lay a nest, they have somewhere around 100 eggs, and there are many, many nests all over the coast. There are many turtles and eggs nests being laid, and most of those eggs will hatch. The reason why they're threatened is because they are so vulnerable, particularly in that first year and even their first few days. So one of the things that the volunteer programs do, a lot of them on the coast, the ones that we work with in Atlantic Beach, is they will go and they will wait for, they ask for people to comb the beach, let them know when the nest is going to hatch, and the volunteers will let things happen naturally, and then sometimes what we end up getting, the turtles that will probably, like our yearling or our hatchling we'll get this coming year, will probably be a straggler. A lot of those eggs that are on the bottom of the nest just have that much harder of a time working their way up to the surface. So volunteers will go in and pull off all the empty shells and just kind of give them, a little jump start to get out. And if those turtles have not been under the rest of them too long and they're able to get up and get out and get to the ocean, they'll release them. They'll go ahead and just let them go. But if they're struggling from the get-go, they may just need a little boost. And that's pretty much what we give them Tilly. Tilly's a really healthy turtle. She's been perfect. She's a great eater. She's a good forager. So we have big hopes for her. We're hoping to satellite tag her and be able to follow her afterwards after we release her. But sometimes genetically those turtles may not survive. But we're at least giving the ones that we can a jump start. They have to individually separate each one of those because hatchlings will bite each other. They'll bite each other's flippers and they'll just damage each other almost immediately. So we want to separate them. So you can't really put two sea turtles in the same tank. We were looking at maybe trying to see if we could get a green sea turtle this year because the Newport Aquarium is seeing this year's turtles. But the logistics of keeping the turtles in a tank that's healthy for them, that's a good size for them, because we have to stay aware of whether or not they could get themselves stuck somewhere and drown. They like to kind of hide. They like to sort of bury their heads somewhere, when they're going to go to sleep, and they sleep long periods of time often. So you want to give them a place where they feel comfortable and not stressed, but you have to make sure that they can't get themselves stuck, because they'll sit in one spot and just keep pushing themselves in into rocks. So we have to be a tank that's safe. It has to be a tank where they're compatible with the fish that are in the tank. I mean, if we had him in there with shrimp, it wouldn't be very good. He probably would get all those shrimp. So it's a matter of being able to house different species. The program that we're going to use through the North Carolina State Aquariums will have a link, and it would be something that we would want to attach to the Newport Aquarium's Wave website, and you will be able to follow the turtle. The guarantee on the tags are anywhere from 2 hours to 2 years. It just depends on how long the glue holds onto the shell. So the process for us is I'll take Tilly down the day before we're going to do the release. We'll head to the station where they'll attach the tags. We pit tag the animals, and that's just a little microchip, like having your dogs chipped. And then if they come back on the beach, the volunteers will wave the scanners and just see if it's a turtle that we've already tagged, and we can track their success that way too. So it'll be very interesting to see our satellite tag and the link to the Wave website. Sea turtles are federally protected, so it is illegal for anyone to touch them, or except for volunteers who are part of the program, part of the wildlife program. There are definitely campaigns. If you go down to beach communities where there's usually a lot of nest laid, you'll see signs, stickers for people to put on their light switches, and I think it's something that people have become aware of. It's just like everything else, and it's part of the reason why we do what we're doing. It's part of the reason why we have a Wave Foundation, a conservation program, and why we want people to come and see our turtle. We have to follow guidelines. I have a schedule of feeding for this turtle to have it at a weight that we want it to be at, the size that we're hoping it'll be at, where we can just introduce this turtle into the ocean at what we would hope to be like perfect health and a perfect size.